Hello, everyone. My name is Amina El-Edroos. I'm a visual artist, art educationist, and I freelance as a designer and photographer also. My object of desire is the camera itself, and sometimes it is the subject of desire also. So we all are aware of the selfie culture, and we all have taken a selfie now and then. And within the selfie, the main components of a selfie probably are the mirror, the camera, and you. So, and then the fourth component is the final image itself. The reason why I chose to talk about the camera was that now it's not just a tool, it's also a medium, or it's part of the process itself. So for example, if we look at this artist over here, they have used the virtual image in the screen and a real image and created an overall image as well. And sometimes, because the camera has also become an extension of our body, we behave like this sometimes when we are so immersed in taking the picture that we are not very aware of the public environment, and we create this private moment with ourselves, with the camera. And so as technology advances, there's this whole other idea where the camera just does not function just as a camera. So it's also a printer. So we not only have an instantaneous virtual copy, but we have print copies as well. The reason why I'm talking about this today is that artists have talked about these different versions of creating images before as well. So for example, in this painting by Manet, we see the subject, but we also see what is behind her because he's chosen to paint the mirror behind it. And subsequently, in the 1960s and 70s, artists like Jeff Wall choose to do the same. So over here, what you see is that the artist, the camera, the subject, all are in the image itself. And you as the viewer are also, in a way, become part of this image because you're part of their gaze. You meet their gaze. Like John Hillard's work over here simply documents the subject, which is the camera over here, in 70 different aperture settings. So the camera itself is just that, it's the subject. Because it had become part of artists' tools in the studio. And then we have other artists like Bruce Nauman and Dan Graham, who used closed-circuit television systems to talk about space and temporality. So for example, in this work, a person could view themselves in the television itself. And here in Dan Graham's work, a three-walled space is covered with mirrors, and the one wall has a TV circuit, which shows the person in that space. But the thing is that that's a 5-second delay of the image. So a viewer is subjected to two kinds of images. One, the image that he sees of himself in the space, and the second, his delayed image. And the artists at that time were trying to kind of emphasize or talk about or make the viewer experience the idea of time in a way that they were more conscious about it. And for example, then we come to this idea of live time, where in one particular moment you sort of experience both presence, both tenses, the past, future, and present all together in one. Another very important artist from the past is Edward Murbridge, because he took this fast action and sort of froze it and kind of distributed it, and we were able to experience objects moving in space in a way that it was sort of precursor to film in a way. So in my work, I try to do the same as well. I sort of create snippets of particular activities that happen in space and try to map them out in one space all over again. And so what happens is when you experience my work, you would see one subject in a space, and it would be moving, it will be breaking, and it's almost synonymous with this idea that if you were looking at yourself in a broken shard of glass, that image would never be complete. And also the other thing behind it is that it works with the idea of delayed time as well, taking different instances and making them into the same. So kind of going back to the idea of selfie as well, many, like the artists we've seen, I also tried that. I also put myself in front of the mirror and the camera, and what the interesting thing for me was that there was this multiplicity of self that I saw. So it was me in the mirror, then it is my image, the back that you see, then of course me, the one who sets up the frame itself, and so on and so forth. And there were so many different instances like that that kind of inspired me to kind of see how much can I push this. When I started kind of experimenting with this idea, whatever I would be doing should also be repetitive to the fact that would be a ritual. I started creating even more multiple selves of myself. And with that idea of delayed imagery, try to create pattern and try to create this sort of a loop that went on and on and on. And for me, when I kind of bring these images together, there is this idea of constant flux that sort of happens, and how things like keep on going and going and going. So for me, my work is a still image with little moving images that comprise the whole. So just in conclusion, I thought it was interesting for me to kind of see that in our mobile devices, we have all these tools that like slow up the video, they kind of put it on repeat and loop, and like some 40, 50 years ago, artists were using that as their artwork. So thank you.